Um, Great. Our next session is with Kathryn Moore from Spa Connectors. Kathryn's been in the industry or the wellness industry for quite a while now, but I'm going to hand straight over to Kathryn to give her little background.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here. It's great to be able to talk about recruitment, staffing, anything to do with people in the industry. That's definitely my passion. The reason why I started Spa Connectors was very much around recruitment and making sure that we were identifying talent and placing them in the right roles. For me, the last few years, it's just been so interesting to see how we've valued the talent within our industry. And I think we can really go into that in a bit more detail today.
That would be wonderful. I think what's been quite interesting is over the past 18 months or so, with the coronavirus pandemic, there's also been a lot of people leaving the industry and finding other jobs whilst they haven't been able to work because of the spas closing. I think I saw some stats around this that put the number over 350,000 in the hospitality industry, which is huge. Is this what you've been seeing in Dubai as well?
Yeah, so I saw your numbers that you've just mentioned, and it doesn't surprise me. I still see a lot of demand for people wanting work, but yeah, there definitely have been people that have left the industry from senior roles through to therapy roles. They weren't getting the support that they needed, whether it was furloughed or they lost their jobs, whatever it was, they weren't able to stay in the industry, and it's meant that they've had to either retrain in other spaces, and perhaps it was something that they could learn online whilst the pandemic has been going on, and they found opportunities. And I think I understand from a business owner's perspective, how hard it was to maintain business during COVID. Not all countries were lucky enough to get furlough for their businesses, and so people had to take drastic measures for sure. But as a whole in the industry, did we do enough to try and support these people? I know groups like Mandarin Oriental, for example, they've sent staff from certain countries that are still suffering and closed and so forth to other countries that are flourishing, to be able to help support them and make sure that they were able to drive business and not have to let go of people. Are we collectively doing enough to try and keep people in our industry? Because it's not an easy industry to be in. We all know, it's hard work. You constantly have to be on. You constantly have to want to give back to people, to look after them, to make them feel better. How does that work when you're feeling crap, when you've been through pandemic, when your family's lost money or lives or what have you? Like, how are you able to then get back and keep doing your job as you should, especially if you've got a pay cut or you were without work for some time? So it does kind of make you probably not quite as buoyant or joyful to be out there doing what you once perhaps loved to do. So yeah, from my side, I do often struggle with trying to excite people to get back into the industry now, because we don't really do things very well, to be honest.
It's a real shame, because there was a lot of talent, and it would be a shame to have lost that talent and not be able to get it back, especially now that the wellness industry is almost needed more than ever, and it is growing. The demand for all the wellness options is growing as people become more aware that that's what they need in their lives. But now it looks like we're not even going to be able to provide them with those services because we don't have the people.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, I think it's about us starting to think outside the box a little bit and saying, things are not going to run as they were before. We've seen a massive influx of business based around wellness. And when I say wellness, it's people opening standalone wellness facilities. It's hotels wanting to offer more wellness opportunities, whether it's increasing their spa facilities, whether it's introducing wellness retreats, visiting practitioners, those sorts of things. You've got people creating new concepts that are hybrids of whatever was out there before, and also wellness resorts. I mean, we've got more and more of them being developed as we speak, and that's amazing, and there's demand for it. But, you know, as you say, how are we going to be able to execute all of these wellness services if we don't have the right people? And, you know, it's really interesting. There were people that were upskilling themselves during COVID, which, you know, we obviously encouraged. They're back out there now on the market, doing freelance services, doing things virtually, not needing our existing, say, bricks and mortar businesses or structures that we used to have in the past. And yeah, I guess it's kind of like the industry that we saw in the UK, how it developed a few years ago with, say, freelance hairdressers and makeup artists and therapists and things like that, or people working from home, doing salons from home and things like that. You know, those things have started to develop over the years, but now we're really in a situation where we can't be stuck in this thing where, oh, we pay people X amount because that's what we've always done. We've got to look at the talent and look at them in terms of what they actually are bringing to the table. What is their experience? What is their expertise? What sort of revenue essentially can they bring to the business? And then take that and say, this is what they're worth, or work out a salary package or incentive package or whatever it has to be to make it worth their while to want to be able to then offer those services, because there are some amazing people out there offering just some incredible services these days, but they're not willing to come in and be a standard employee anymore. You know, that's not how it's going to work, because they can make a lot more on their own, going out there and you know, creating some of these, I guess, more hybrid opportunities.
I've always heard, you know, especially the therapists have often worked, you know, long hours, back-to-back sessions. It's very hard on them. I guess some of the ways that companies could look to encourage people back might be showing that they have different treatment menus on offer, which perhaps also include things like touchless therapies, or therapy layering, so that there is kind of spaces in between the hands-on treatments, things like halotherapy, obviously, where the client can go on a journey.
Absolutely. I mean, but there is also, it depends on obviously where you're looking at, whether it's the UK or Europe or Middle East or what have you, but you know, you don't have to hire everyone on a full-time basis. You know, why not think about being a little bit more flexible and giving people, you know, different sorts of shifts? You know, people could be working, you know, 3 to 5 hours a day or what have you, or, you know, 3 days a week full time. You know, there's people in the industry that perhaps went and had children and want to get back into the industry and don't necessarily want to work full time. You know, are we considering all of these different sort of flexibilities? And then, as you say, all of these other alternatives, whether it's touchless therapies, what we're calling wellness circuits, these sorts of things, you can add these into your facilities and really increase the average spend of any client that comes in, and you don't necessarily have to have a therapist working on them all the time. So, you know, there are really loads of opportunities. Let's also take, for example, group classes. You know, doing group meditations, doing healing circles, your singing bowls, all of these extra things, along with, say, a wellness circuit with your cryo and your halotherapy and your infrared saunas and all these sorts of things. You can tie these in together and then essentially sell a massage or facial or whatever if you wish, and you start to get regular business, because people are investing in their health and their mental well-being, and not just, you know, aesthetically making themselves look better. So there are loads of opportunities now, of things that you could add into your business to help improve revenue, and not necessarily have to just rely on therapists, for sure, or specialize in something. You know, be amazing at a healing massage, or an aesthetic facial, and just hire aesthetic facialists that are just doing that. And, you know, give them the time to be amazing at doing the consultation, doing the treatment, retailing. Don't rush them, charge accordingly. You will get the repeat business because people will be, you know, thrilled with the results. But it's just, we don't always look at the business as we should. I think it depends on the model, obviously. Is it a hotel spa? Is it a standalone business? Is the owner the operator? Is the owner putting someone else in charge? There are so many factors, and I guess that's why you know, we always need to be on the pulse of our businesses and making sure that we're running them correctly. But yeah, I mean, we've got to do something about what we're paying people, and it has to be fair from both sides, because it's not about, I'll give you an example. In Australia, you have therapists that if they work after 5 o'clock, they end up getting double time. If they work on a Saturday, they get double time. If they work on a Sunday, they get triple time. And that's like every hour they work is triple their hourly rate. If it's a public holiday, like most places can't even afford to open on a public holiday because it costs so much, even if you added a surcharge. Now, whilst I'm not suggesting that people should be not paid what they're worth, it's not even possible to operate and make profit when you have to start paying these silly sorts of wages. So it's, you know, we've got to get to a place where everyone's being rewarded. And how does that look? And what are the ideal margins for an owner? And what is a decent return for a therapist? How can they be incentivized to want to work and to have an ideal working environment, and also want to stay in the industry, because it is hard work. You know, you do 10 years in a salon or a spa, you're generally fairly buggered.
I think your key there is really start to think outside of the box and think how you can integrate all these other options, where you can spend your time, but where you can get money from as well. So are these types of things that spa creators can help people with if they were to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so we do a lot of consulting. Our consulting is anything from a business turnaround, where we would go in and look at how the business is performing, give them feedback on how they could help improve. And then we do a lot of consulting, where we go in and we are doing the pre-openings, and we're creating the concepts. We're setting the businesses up from scratch. We're getting them open, and then we're helping them, or maybe operating it for some time. Maybe we stay on and manage, but it's giving them solutions in all the areas, from procurement, menu selections, concept development, recruitment training, all those sorts of things. And it's, I guess, coming from a perspective where, you know, we've got hands-on experience. We've done it before, we do it on a day-to-day basis. And so, you know, we've got that operational experience of what works. So, yeah.
And you provide these services globally?
Yes, yeah. I mean, look, since COVID, there's certainly been some areas that we really worked a lot in Asia and so forth that are just still on hold. They're still closed. So that's a challenge. But yeah, look, we have recruitment clients from all over the world at the moment. That seems to be the main challenge for people, is finding where do we get good staff, whether it's a senior management level. And people also are being very particular about what they want. So it really, there's a lot of work that goes into recruitment, and, you know, making sure we match up the people and they've got the right values and ethics and so forth of the position they're being placed in, and then also making sure that they last in the role. So yeah, it's recruitment's fun.
It certainly sounds it. And no business too big or too small to get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, look, we do salons through to, at the moment we're doing a 7-story private members club in Abu Dhabi that has accommodation through to a commercial kitchen. We're managing that. So yeah, I mean, we're working with the wellness resort in Saudi. So yeah, look, for us, it's about making sure that we take on projects that we know that we can help. We won't just do it because, we want to take something on. It's very much around making sure that we know that we can have an impact and actually help the owner. So
brilliant. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Kathryn or her company, the details are below in a link. She's definitely got proven success. I've heard nothing but positive results from people who have dealt with Kathryn and her team. So I really do urge you, if you do have a recruitment crisis going on, get in touch with Kathryn.
I don't know if I actually want any more recruitment business. I can't find enough people. Actually, maybe you should say that if anyone wants a job, they can reach out and send me their CV, because I seriously need more people.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's a great way to
feel, yeah.
We'll do
exactly,
that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much today for giving your insights on this. And we hope that people can find some benefit from this and hop onto the website. As I said, there's a lot of information on there. See what Kathryn and her team could do for you.
Yeah, no, thanks. No, I really appreciate you having us, and I love what you're doing. I think, being able to bring people together that share different views on what's happening in the industry is always really helpful. And at a time where we're all madly getting back to the real world, having these sorts of insights and being able to see whatever everyone's doing and help everyone as well, it's so important. So yeah, for me, I just urge us all to kind of look at the people that are out there in the industry and look at who they are, look at what they've been putting into their careers, look at the time that they've put into having these different modalities or specialties or what have you, and then really look at what they can bring to your business before determining what you're going to pay them, because what we used to do in the past is not working anymore. And it's evident with the amount of recruitment requests, with the amount of posts I see on every form of social media, from LinkedIn to Facebook. It's just people constantly looking for staff, and we have to get people to be more excited about coming back into the industry. And at some point that has to be a priority, rather than us as an industry focusing on what's the latest medical wellness, or how do we build more residential wellness facilities, or how do we do how do we keep growing the business, because we don't seem to have a problem in growing the business because the demand's there. Our problem is going to be is how do we sustain it, and if no one seems to care about the people side of things, we're not going to get anywhere. So
yeah, I am a firm believer about creating a role around the person. Don't try and find a person to fit the role. Develop that role so that you get the right people, because once you've got the right people, that's when you're
I actually was just saying that to my team today. We were looking at doing a menu for one of our projects, and I've started actually doing menus around the people that we find, because I'm finding some super cool people that are doing really cool different modalities, specialties, and I'm saying, okay, let's create something around them, rather than saying, okay, I'm creating a menu and now we have to recruit based on that. And so they then also get to have some input in the menu and how essentially they can contribute their expertise, and that gives them more of a sense of ownership of what they're doing and being part of the business. And it's not rocket science, all these things. It's about caring about your business and the people. And so yeah, for me, that's important. We did the Hall of Wellness Awards last year, and that was very much around recognizing individuals, and I will definitely do it again. This year for me has been about rebuilding my business, because Spark Connectors, we got through last year, but I had to let go of my team. I've had to rebuild this year. I had to try and pay off all the debts that I accumulated last year. But for me, the Hall of Wellness Awards is so important, because it's shining a light on the individuals and showcasing what it is that they can do, and why they did it, why they got into the industry, which I think in turn then shares that inspiration and so forth. And so for me, we've got to do it again. And the amount of people that keep messaging me saying, when are we doing the Hall of Wellness Awards again? And I'm like, oh, I can't sleep at night. I've got to bloody do this thing again. And I really want to, but it's just these sort of times are about rebuilding and making sure that the business is financially viable, and but then getting back into it, because it is so important for us to give back to the industry in that sense. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll actually add the Wellness Awards link on to the bottom, so that people can look out for it when you do happen to announce the next one.
Thank you.
It was very well received last year, and as you say, it's great to really value the people that contribute to the industry for what they do, because without them we wouldn't be able to offer what we do.
And I think the way we have to look at the industry now is about the people and the talent and what they can bring to the individuals, not just the business, because the business would be nothing without the people. And so if we're constantly marketing the brands that are out there, that's all good and well, but if they can't retain the staff, or they don't have that expertise, then they're not going to stay. So it's a little bit like you start to see these famous makeup artists on Instagram and so forth that have massive followings. They don't need a salon over their heads to pay their wage. They're doing it themselves. And I feel like that's where we're going to be going with all of these amazing people within our industry. They will start to have a following, and they will come and utilize our spaces to be able to then deliver their thing. And we need something like the Hall of Wellness Awards to be able to showcase these people and recognize them and get them out there, so then they have the confidence to then keep going with their careers and pushing themselves out there in the spotlight. So anyway, I'm sure we could talk for hours, but thank you very much for having me.
And thank you, Kathryn. We'll see you again soon.
Talk soon. Thank you.
Cool.